Today, we are here to mourn what could have been. These startups once beamed with promise, ambition, and dreams that soared high. But in 2024, they fell. And now, they lie here in the graveyard of ambition. But this isn't a funeral, it's a reckoning. Today, we're here to look at why these startups didn't just fail, they earned their spot in the graveyard. The question is, was it bad luck, bad decisions, or something they should have seen coming? Let's dig up the truth and find out why these startups deserved it. Starting us off at number 4 is iProcure, a once promising Kenyan agri-tech startup launched in 2013 by Stefano Kakuforo and his wife Nicole Galetta, his past co-founder. Their goal? To revolutionize Kenya's agricultural supply chain by getting fertilizers and other essentials directly to farmers at a discount. According to TechPoint Africa, their platform's mission eliminated costly middlemen, making inputs more accessible. Their vision attracted over 17 million from investors like USAID and Safaricom SPAC Fund. Stefano pointed out in his speech at the Mercy Corps AgriFin 2024 event in October that $10 million is what they received.
We raised, you probably know, against my own sort of advice, we publicly announced that we raised about $10 million. I think 17 million was reported. Seven of that 17 was supposed to be debt, which never materialized.
While the remaining 7 million was in the form of debt that never materialized. But with the funding came the famous words, more money, more problems. According to Launchbase Africa, as investor expectations grew, iProcure's payroll ballooned to a whopping 130%. And just as they gained ground, the Kenyan government introduced fertilizer subsidies, cutting iProcure's market share by a painful 60%.
President William Ruto says 12 billion shillings will be spent to subsidize fertilizers for long-term food security. The government will spend 13 billion shillings to alleviate the current hunger situation in drought-stricken counties.
And if that wasn't enough, the depreciating Kenyan shilling made the foreign debt an ongoing headache.
Our advisors, again, Straddling Global, and very good friends, personal friends, warned us about taking foreign denomination debt, especially leading into an election year. And they were absolutely right. The sharp depreciation of the Kenyan shilling left us exposed, inflating our debt by almost threefold and squeezing our margins to negative. Again, overnight.
In 2024, iProcure's debt reached critical levels, and the company entered administration under KPMG. Tech Cabal reported that creditors took over the operations, leaving the founders without control. Still, Stefano and his team kept negotiating with the undertakers. Administrators, to reclaim their tech and hold on into their vision. Remarkably, they pulled it off. And according to Launchbase Africa, loyal agri-dealers saved the day by voluntarily subscribing to iProcure, keeping the lights on when it mattered most. Reflecting on the roller coaster ride, Stefano said it best in his speech.
The moral is, it's all your fault.
iProcure's story is a vital reminder for African startups that innovation is great, but scaling responsibly and diversifying is what really counts. At number 3 is MarketForce Reja. Imagine this, you're the co-founders of MarketForce and you've got a grand plan. What if all those small dukas in Kenya could just order stock from their phone?
MarketForce is a B2B marketplace that enables informal merchants to be able to order for goods and pay for the goods digitally and conveniently.
We're live in Kenya, Nigeria, Uganda, Rwanda, and Tanzania, and we look forward to launching more markets so that we're able to achieve our goal of having 1 million active merchants on our platform over the next couple of years.
Well, that's Reja, the B2B platform meant to turn shopkeepers into digital bosses.
I'm the biggest boss that you've seen thus far.
As easy as buying airtime. According to Citizen Digital, investors loved it, pumping in $40 million for growth across Africa. Techobal reported Rejareja racked up 160 million in transactions, and soon enough, thousands of shopkeepers were on board.
Kabla sijapatana na Rejareja, nilikuwa napata wakati mgumu kusafiri pale na pale kutafuta bidhaa za kuuzia customer.
But as the saying goes, all that glitters is not gold, or in this case, not enough shillings. Then things got complicated. Running a B2B e-commerce platform isn't exactly cheap. As Startup Graveyard Africa explains, Rejareja was knee-deep in thin profit margins. It was a price war out there, and they were running on the thinnest of margins. Meanwhile, shopkeepers sometimes forgot to repay their loans, even with Possession's credit partnerships, and paid loans started piling up.
Market force, what was in the public was trying to resolve this matter without going to the public. Yeah.
Okay.
And the short version of it is, as I told you, we had a partnership with Market Force, which was to lend to their retailers, and we provided working capital to them as a business.
Okay.
The retail side, we had no problem.
Okay.
In fact, that's really the forte of our business.
Yeah.
So I think from the learnings we've had, we wanted to support in goodwill on the working capital because they were waiting for some of their funds to come in. So we said we don't want their working capital to be affected because, of course, it was going to affect
the downstream.
the retailers downstream. So it was just really a good, endeavor at that particular time.
Who knew that buy now, pay later could turn into buy now, pray they pay later? So come April 2024, the moment of truth. No fairy godmother investor arrived with another cash injection, and Market Force had to face the music. Rejareja, once the darling of Kenyan startups, had run its last lap. Techobal noted that cutting costs couldn't keep them afloat, and Rejareja was officially shut down. With competitors reaping at their heels and costs through the roof, Market Force had no choice but to close Rejareja's doors. And don't cue the sad violins just yet. Tesh and the team had a backup plan. According to Tech Cabal, they shifted gears to a new venture. A new chapter. Aiming to turn shopkeepers into digital warriors in the social commerce space. Rejareja's story reminds African startups to beware of low margins and high costs, and success is as much about resilience as it is about adaptation. Our position 2 is Grow Intelligence. Picture this, it's 2012, and Sarah Menka, a former energy commodities trader, decides to shake up the global agricultural scene with a startup in Kenya. She builds Grow Intelligence
and tackle two of the world's largest challenges that we face as humanity, namely food security and climate change. We at Grow are bringing a whole new asset class to the market. It's climate as an asset class. And it's to manage the physical risks associated with climate change.
An ambitious platform that uses AI for predicting everything in agriculture, from crop yields to climate risks. According to the founder Africa, investors were enthusiastic, pouring in $117 million from big players like Intel Capital. The goal? World food security, powered by big data. By 2021, Grow was hitting its stride. Time magazine even called them one of the most influential companies, a title that might as well have come with a crown. Grow's tech was top-notch, and big names like Unilever signed on. But beneath the glamour, trouble was brewing. Then came 2024, and Grow's fairy tale took a sharp turn. They had a big problem. Lots of brains, but not enough bucks. According to TechPoint Africa, they raised emergency funds in March, but it was like putting a band-aid on a sinking ship. To make matters worse, the board swapped out Menka for a new CEO, James Cariello, hoping a leadership change could steady the ship. Meanwhile, the Securities and Exchange Commission, SEC, started snooping around, investigating possible misrepresentation to investors. As if things were not bad enough, Grow laid off 60% of its staff with hardly any notice, which landed them in hot water with former employees who promptly sued. The once promising giant was now downsizing to nearly nothing. Reflecting on Grow's journey, Menka's mission to tackle global food security became a big lesson on the need on a rock-solid financial plan. While Grow's tech was visionary, its business model was more of a daydream.
Have you ever had a dream that you had you could you do you want you could do so you want him to do you so much you could do anything?
So the takeaway from Grow: aim for the stars, but make sure there's more gravity, keeping you grounded. Grow's story reminds us that the startup world is not just about saving the planet. Sometimes it's about saving your own balance sheet. Closing us off at number 1, wait for it, Copia. So back in 2013, Copia had this genius idea to bring e-commerce to rural Kenya. Founded by Tracy Turner and Jonathan Lewis, Copia wasn't your average online shop. Instead of flashy apps and big warehouses, they set up a network of local agents, turning village shops into delivery points for everything from soap to smartphones. According to Business Daily, this agent network grew to over 50,000 strong, spanning Kenya and even Uganda. As Copia's big vision caught on, so did the investment dollars. Tech Cabal reports they raised a staggering $123 million from venture capitalists with hearts and wallets set on e-commerce glory in East Africa. But as the cash flowed in, so did the complications. You see, Copia's innovative model was also, well, expensive. Startup Graveyard Africa explains that the cost of running a vast agent network and handling logistics for far-flung deliveries were no joke. Despite the customer base, the expenses kept piling up. By 2023, Copia had to make some tough calls. They pulled out of Uganda to focus on Kenya and laid off 350 employees in a bid to streamline. But even that wasn't enough. According to Capital FM, by May 2024, they were warning that another 1,000 jobs were at risk if no new funding came through. May 24 was crunch time. Copia, despite its $123 million in backing, couldn't keep up with the cost and was placed under administration. Business Daily reported that they brought in KPMG to try and work some financial magic with the goal of finding new investors or restructuring for survival. But here's the kicker. Startup Graveyard Africa points out that rural customers often preferred buying directly from local shops, where they could get items immediately, sometimes even on credit. Copia's pre-order and wait model just couldn't compete with the convenience of grabbing items on the go. So now, as KPMG crunches the numbers and Copia's fate hangs by a thread, Startup Graveyard sums it up very well. You can have all the ambition in the world and the backing to match it, but without a sustainable revenue model, you're dancing on thin ice. In the end, Copia's tale isn't just about rural e-commerce. It's about the challenges of scaling a model to meet local needs. So there you have it. 4 startups that once carried big dreams and even bigger ambitions. From iProcure's mission to secure food supply, Reja's vision for shopkeepers, Grow Intelligence data-driven agriculture revolution, and Copia's bold expansion into rural markets. Each of them had the potential to reshape the future. But if this graveyard of ambition tells us anything, it's that no matter how much funding you secure or how revolutionary your idea is, a startup lives and dies by its ability to adapt, sustain cash flow, and build a model that endures the realities of the market. What do you think are the biggest lessons here? Let me know in the comments. And if you found this insightful, consider giving us a super thanks. It helps us keep bringing you valuable insights, so your startup isn't the next in the graveyard. Don't forget to like, subscribe, and stay tuned for more Startup Soccer content. I've been your host, Michelle. See you next time.